Hello, I am Anueltos back again for another episode of Zero AD Replays. So here we go. We're about an hour into this game, same game as last time. It actually took me maybe 45 minutes to load up to this point, which is probably the reason why I've been holding off doing this episode, because it just takes so much time to get there, and then I have to record, and then I have to edit and all that. So, yeah, it takes time. Anyway, we are seeing the blue forces here push back the greens. Meanwhile, in the south, yellow is still holding out, despite all the action that's occurring here with some orange battering rams really pushing into the yellow territory. But yellow player continues to assert dominance in this region. The yellow player seems to have some troops down here that are not in action. You know what would be cool? If there were a way to load up a game without it loading up a game to a certain time bit index without having to render it all the way through. That would be good, because that would definitely speed up going to a late index in the bookmark. And the yellow player continues to prevail over the red player in the south. However, the yellow player still has not been able to expand too much in this region. The black player is moving in, attempting to help in the capture of this defense tower, but it seems to be very difficult. But it may be working slightly. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. Okay. This fortress continues progress of getting built. And look at that, the red player is sending a nice long train of battering rams right at the green player's fortress. Wait, no, this is the black player's fortress. Black player has a military colony just a ways behind. The green player is moving in to fight. The blue player is engaging the green player's navy. Apparently the blue player lost that little engagement there and is now not fighting back against this attack. Meanwhile, the fortress is down. 4 battering rams survive. Wait, no, that's 5. And they may be moving on farther. Okay. The green player is getting held up by these battering rams. The black player is in the action. The blue player has a lot of archers sitting around not doing much. The yellow player is advancing in the south, sending in battering rams, now attacking the orange player's southern civic center. Meanwhile, the orange player has crossed the sea and has now begun expanding in these southern regions on the northern side of the river. And is, of course, slowly extending influence onto the buildings in this region. This is slightly out of range, but it may not be too soon till it comes into range. Now, of course, this has got to be a major issue for the yellow player to deal with. And Another big battle occurs here with some heavy artillery here. Some big siege catapults firing down. But unfortunately for the red player, they are getting attacked by some pretty strong battering rams. Meanwhile, this fortress may finally have met its end. The blue player is advancing, helping in the construction of this defense tower by the orange player. The black player here is now building a temple. A lot of carts moving about. Lots of trade going on here. The orange player is now building a fortress at the edge of the yellow player's territory. And this area doesn't have a lot of fortifications. So all you really need is one siege engine to get in there, and you can start playing around. And when they send in troops to deal with that one, you send one the other direction, and just play around destroying buildings. However, the yellow player is advancing in the south and is now moving on to this fortress here. The red player is sending resources to the orange player. The black player is repairing the military colony. The blue player is attempting to intercept some troops that almost made it through. The green player seems to be taking the seas by storm and is in fact attacking across here. This of course poses a major problem for the blue player, as now there is a large group behind the lines. The blue player seems to be moving away from the isthmus in order to deal with the green player's troops here. The green player is getting harassed and harried along the way as the green player moves south into the orange player's heartlands, the core territory. The blue player moving to intercept. The yellow player, meanwhile, is moving into the red player's territory, dealing quite a bit of damage. However, the orange player has sent some battering rams to intercept. The orange player has also sent an army in here to fight the yellow player. A lot of skirmishers, I see, on both sides of the fight. The green player is harassing the orange player's economy. Meanwhile, the blue player is trying to counteract that. This would be a great time for the black player to attack, and that may be what is happening here. Looks like the black player is moving forward cautiously, attacking the defense structures along the way, slowly attempting to gain ground. The red player has resigned. Game over for the red player. Let me just make sure, okay, I'm on normal speed. Good. Now the yellow player has free reign in the south. Meanwhile, the orange player and the blue player are dealing with the green player's incursion. The orange player is sending in troops and siege equipment to deal with the yellow player's defenses. The yellow player is well defended here, with a lot of wall turrets as well as defense towers. Ooh. Is the orange player moving on to a big target? Perhaps. Do not know. The edge of the orange player's territory is being attacked by some forces of a yellow player. They are attempting to capture the Temple of Vesta. The green player continues to fight the blue player, trying to cross. But the green player's troops are taking quite a bit of damage. The orange player managed to get through, apparently. Now the yellow player is left without a civic center in the north. The black player is moving in troops to counteract the orange player's advances. The orange player apparently is researching murder holes.
Yes, see?
The black player is attempting to capture the defense tower. The blue player seems to have triumphed over the green player in the north for now, but the green player remains in control of part of the seas. The blue player crossing over the sea once again to deal quite a bit of damage to the black player's buildings here. Look at this fortress, it's going down. The black player engaged on the other side of the map. The green player attempting to gather resources in the black player's territory. And look at that, another temple down. The black player is now sending troops to counteract. As is the green player.
ESD?
Meanwhile, the big battle here is over. Yellow player amassing some battering rams, but not really pushing forward. But slowly attempting to build a civic center down here. Doing so would grant the yellow player significant power in the region. Of course, the danger is that this technique is discovered and the orange player counterattacks. That is the big danger here. Blue player continues to destroy more buildings. Meanwhile, the black player is rebuilding a bit. Let's take a look at some resources here. See, lots of food for everyone but the orange player, apparently. The orange player and the yellow player are low on wood. The yellow player is down on stone. The green player not doing too well there. Everyone except the blue player is not doing too well on metal. So it looks like the blue player really has the economic advantage this game. And surprisingly, the yellow player is able to continue construction. But everyone seems to be running low on resources of one kind or another. The orange player has some skirmishers here fighting against the yellow player, but it's not going to be enough. The yellow player's army is significantly larger than the orange player's in this situation. Heavy warship from Gaia here. Once this finishes, it will take away some territory from the orange player. Possibly. The orange player is building a fortress to protect the market, as that is a major economic center here. The orange player by now should probably notice that the yellow player has taken up control of the southern section once again. The green player is engaged in the black player's territory in building a dock here. Looks like right now we're not seeing big battles, but we are seeing the yellow player gaining control of significant amounts of territory, and now building a base here, really trying to establish control of this region. There you go. The orange player sending in some battering rams. As I expected, this is going very well for the orange player, being able to tear down quite a few buildings. However, these buildings aren't really the more important of the yellow player's buildings, but they certainly do have an impact. Now the orange player is sending in some troops, dealing with the yellow player's counterattack. Not much battle going on in the south, though. The center, surprisingly, is pretty tame. Looks like the green player may attempt another crossing, but the blue player is as strong as always, putting out quite a few war elephants, perhaps to attack once again. Question is, what is the plan here? What is the plan for victory? What is the plan for defeat? Look at that. They are moving north, attempting to land here, but that's right where the war elephants are, and right where the blue player's fleet is. Perhaps trying to attack from the rear, but it's probably not going to go too well. The blue player is supporting the orange player's economy. The yellow player is now advancing into this region, and perhaps will soon attack with a few battering rams. An attack with 5 battering rams would be very effective against this fortress here, which doesn't have too many troops around it to protect it. The orange player is expanding in the former territory of the cyan player. Naval battle is unfolding. A lot of war elephants are actually dying here, but the green player's troops aren't doing too well either. The black player is sending troops here, possibly to deal with the orange player. However, the black player throughout this game hasn't been very aggressive, unlike many of the other players. And it looks like the orange player is sending in some more troops to perhaps deal some damage to the yellow player here. However, they are getting intercepted by the yellow player's own troops, who are bogging them down and dealing quite a bit of damage to them. However, the orange player keeps on moving forward, looking for buildings to destroy. The black player is continuing to intercept. The yellow player is attacking the fortress. Could this be a pivotal moment? When this fortress falls, a lot of the orange player's territory is getting pushed back now. Yellow player moving in an attempt to devastate it. And look at that. This here will deal some significant damage to the blue player's economy until the orange player is able to build another one of these. Well, there is one down here, but for now, that certainly has weakened the blue player. The orange player, however, continues to move around, damaging the yellow player's core territory. Question is, will the yellow player be able to eventually push the orange player out, which would prevent these attacks from happening again in the future? But it looks like it may be a base race at this point, as the orange player doesn't really have that many layers of defense left. And they both are opting for similar strategies here. Not seeing a large field army on the orange player's side. The black player, however, still has quite a large army to fight with. The blue player continuing to fight the green player's troops. The yellow player is now moving in to attack the orange player's civic center. Could this be the end? Could this be the point that the orange player does not recover from? Very the orange player's territory is now pushed farther back. The yellow player continues to fight. Green player gathering resources. The only one who's really strong here right now is the blue player. We'll now have to trade over here. Battering ram attempting to take down a wall turret. And look at that, more territory by the yellow player. Oh wait, no, the orange player has resigned. Now it's a 1-on-3 game for the blue player. I don't think it's going to go too well for the blue player at this point, as fighting 3-on-1 is going to be very difficult. However, on a positive note for the blue player now does not have to worry about defending allies, but also cannot rely on those allies to support the flank. Which means that the blue player will be unable to mount a significantly powerful offensive without compromising the defense of the blue player's borders. However, on another note, the blue player now has no one to trade with, which is a very bad situation for the blue player here.
DST?
And there are also Gaia troops ravaging the blue player's lands, which is also an uncomfortable situation to be in. And look at that, the green player is moving in with quite an army here. Not as big as those we saw in the mid-game, since now the resources have significantly dropped, but certainly menacing. The blue player's archers swing into motion, firing volley after volley. However, these battering rams are pretty tough, and they're definitely going to deal some damage before they succumb to the arrows. Blue player sends in some elephants, and we'll send in some on the other side to attack the black player once again. Black player still has not fully committed to an attack. Very interesting. We're not seeing any troops being dropped off. Blue player has managed to destroy the green player's assault, however has lost the fortress. And there it is. The elephants are off the boat. One of them is rapidly being taken down by some of the green players. Heavy swordsman over here. Meanwhile, this fortress is not doing so well. However, these elephants are actually taking significant amounts of damage from this boat over here, this medium warship. The yellow player perhaps going in for an all-out attack. The black player pulling troops back to defend. The yellow player moving in for a smaller scale attack. However, this attack comes in on an undefended flank, which is of course going to force the blue player to send in troops in order to deal with it. But the green player is attacking on a different front than that of the yellow player, which means the blue player now has to fight a defensive battle on two fronts, which of course is difficult to do as a player. And that a lot of arrows going in there. The green player definitely is being pushed back. However, the yellow player has made it all the way through to the civic center. And the blue player has not peeled any troops off to deal with this attack. Civic center is now going to drop. And I think I'm going to pause here. So, thank you all for watching, and this game will conclude next episode. Anawiltos over and out.